Hey there, I'm Stephen Kesting, and this is the Strenuous Life Podcast. Why do most BJJ gyms never really focus on takedowns? Most spend so much time starting on the knees and missing something very important for competition. I agree, and I understand. Takedowns are inherently more dangerous. The injury rate of training takedowns is way higher than the injury rate of just jiu-jitsu on the ground. And there are alternatives. You can just pull guard. Your opponent may just pull guard on you. So if your focus is just competition, you can be one of those specialists who develop a really good takedown game. But if you become known for it, people are just going to pull guard. And that, although that allows you to control whether you stay standing or go to the ground to some extent, it allows you to control whether you go on top because people will pull guard. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of time and energy that you've invested in your takedown game that you could have invested in your grappling game on the ground. That being said, I think the biggest importance of takedown is actually for self-defense. If you do self-defense and you do jiu-jitsu, you need a couple of ways to take the guy down. There was a really funny YouTube series a bunch of years ago called, Get in My Guard. And there's some guy out there walking around picking fights with people and then flopping to his back and yelling at them, "Get in my guard." It was a fake. It wasn't a real footage, but it's pretty funny. And so it does indicate that if you're interested in self-defense, at the very least, you need a couple takedowns from clinch, you need a couple takedowns from sort of a sleeve and collar tie-up, because the person might be wearing clothes. Hopefully the person's wearing clothes. And you need something like a double leg or single leg or both. So I do agree that takedowns are important, but they are dangerous. And also, if you're going to have them in training, then you can put a lot less people on a mat. Because if you have people doing stand-up and on the ground at the same time, somebody's going to fall on somebody on the ground. If you look at me here, one of my eyes is lower in my head. Hint, it's my left one. And that's because I was on the ground while somebody else was throwing somebody else. And they threw them through the air and their heel landed on my eyeball and actually punched my eyeball through the orbital bone at the bottom of the eye. And double vision, I blew my nose and my eyelid inflated, and it was kind of cool. So I puffed the air out and I blew my nose again, my eyelid inflated again. Basically, there's a hole between the sinus and the space in between my eyelid skin. And that was because I was on the ground while somebody else was teaching somebody else takedowns. So they're undeniably more dangerous, and you can't have as crowded a room for them. Also, in a jiu-jitsu environment, until they change the rules, there is an argument to be made for focusing on the ground. For self-defense, for MMA, 100%. You need at least some takedown game. Podcast listeners, if you found this interesting or useful or entertaining, please pass this episode on to somebody else in your social circle or in your training circle. Surely there's somebody else out there who would also find it interesting. This is the way the podcast grows. It's an organic growth by people like you passing it on to their friends and the people that they know. I really, really appreciate this kind of sharing. So thank you so much in advance, and good luck with your training.